Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, today we're going to be looking at 5 bills that are before the Kentucky State Senate that'll be up for a vote to become law in the next month or so. Some of these are good, some of these are bad. Make sure you contact your senator and representative, letting them know the things that you're for or against so that we can say we did our part to preserve our republic. If you'd like to contact your legislators on this or any bills before the legislature up for a vote this year, you can leave a message for them at the Capitol. The phone number for the answering service is 1-800-372-7181. If you'd like that number again, well, just rewind the video. Okay, well, let's talk about 5 of these bills. First of all, this is Senate Bill 16, SB 16. This has been proposed by Senator Adrian Southworth. This has to do with our election integrity. I really like this bill. This bill would say that we're going to put a counter on the outside of every voting booth, and it'll simply register, this is how many votes have been registered, so that you can see on the outside, one person went in, 1 vote has been registered, not 18 for somebody. Now, that keeps the vote still secret on who you voted for, but it gives a good way to have election integrity. A simple thing, wouldn't be very expensive for the state, and this is a great bill. Has a lot of different parts to this bill. I think this would be a wonderful, simple, and inexpensive way to secure our elections. Let's talk about another bill. That was Senate Bill 16. Let's talk about another one. This is Senate Bill number 19. This is proposed by Kentucky State Senator John Schickel. Right now, if you want to register to run for office in Kentucky, you have up until the end of the first week of January. Well, the problem with that is the legislature hasn't gone into session yet. So if you want to say, well, I don't know if my senator or representative's good and I should support them, or maybe they're bad and I should run against them. Well, you don't know because the session hasn't happened yet. Senator Schickel's bill, Senate Bill 19, would move the registration deadline from the beginning of January to the end of January. So you'd have a full month to realize, hey, is my person good or bad, to make a better informed decision. I think this will really be great for our state. It makes our legislators even more accountable to the people. Being proposed by a great conservative up there from Northern Kentucky. That's Senate Bill number 19. Good bill. Let's talk about Senate Bill number 20. This is proposed by Kentucky State Senator Robbie Mills. And he wants to get Kentucky government devices, such as computers, tablets, phones, stuff like that, where they are not allowed to have TikTok on there. A lot of things going on, how TikTok is being used by the Communist Party over there in China to spy on a bunch of Americans. You could still have it as a private citizen. You just wouldn't be allowed to download this on a government computer if you work for the state of Kentucky. I think that is a very wise precaution. I don't have TikTok myself. I don't even like clocks at TikTok that loud. So this is, I think, is a good bill for security reasons. That is Senate Bill number 20. Bill number 4 here, Senate Bill number 24. This one also is proposed by Senator John Schickel. And this would allow KEYS money to be used for Christian schools and homeschoolers. Now, KEYS money. KEYS stands for Kentucky Educational Excellence Scholarship. This is state money that the kids in the public schools, based on their ACT scores, they have access to this money. But those who go to like Christian schools and home schools where you're not certified by the state, you're not allowed to get this. Well, Senator Schickel's bill, Senate Bill 24, would change that and say if you take the same ACT test and you get certain scores, just like the public school does, then you've proved that you have educational excellence and you're eligible to get this money as well. I think this is an excellent program. Should have been done a long time ago. So that is Senate Bill number 24, something that all the Christian schools and homeschoolers probably be very excited about. You have access to more scholarships simply based on your ACT scores. So Senate Bill 24, a good bill. But they can't all be good. Here's one that's just, well, it just sticks. That's all we can say about it. And this is Senate Bill number 32. It's by State Senator Reggie Thomas. Nice guy, but it's a bad bill. This bill would change the minimum wage in Kentucky to $15 an hour, virtually doubling what it is right now. Now, on the surface, people are like, oh, that's so compassionate. That'll help poor people. No, it doesn't. Let's look at just 3 or 4 things real quick to make us realize when we actually think it through, this is a very bad thing for poor people. And let's look at some of those reasons why. Because if, let's say that the person who's getting minimum wage, they now earn $15 an hour. Well, the other people who work in that business and they have more skill, more experience, more training, they're going to get upset if they're getting $15 an hour, the same as somebody who never even graduated school, has all kinds of problems. They're going to demand more money. So now the employer is having to pay more for everybody. It's not just those on minimum wage. And when labor costs go up, you know what happens? The business passes that increased labor cost onto the customers, which means this is going to cause massive inflation. Let's look at another thing right now. Back in the year 2014, there was a congressional office study, and it reported that if the minimum wage was raised to only $10 an hour, again, 50% less than what this bill proposes, that it would cost America 500,000 jobs. 500,000 jobs would disappear overnight because the business owners are like, I can't afford this, and so I've just got to cut employees. I mean, we're already seeing where some of the big corporations are getting their self-checkout things where you have to do everything yourself. It's going to get a lot worse. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs and lose hours because of this. Another thing is Harvard Business School back in the year 2018. They released a report that says for every $1 of increase to the minimum wage, 4 to 10% of small businesses will close. And they're saying they want to raise it basically by about $7. Well, this is going to be a huge, massive amount of small businesses that cannot absorb this increase in labor cost, which is almost always the biggest expense that any business has anyway. So it's really going to mean right now, if you are low on funds, you go to buy something, it costs X amount. Well, if there's massive inflation everywhere, the money you have today won't buy you nearly as much as it would if everything is $15 minimum wage. And actually, it would make poor people more poor than they are now. So it sounds good on the surface, but it doesn't pass the common sense test when we figure out what's happening down the road. So that is Senate Bill number 32. Nice guy proposed it, but it's a bad bill. So these are the different bills. I hope that you will be active and involved in contacting your legislators about these and the others. We'll be discussing other bills coming up in the weeks ahead during the legislative session, and we're going to be examining some of the candidates running for statewide office. So until next week, I'm Lee Watts for Patriot Point, reminding you that liberty is not a spectator sport.